Hi, my name's Aaron Farshney, and today I've had quite a few questions actually in my notification box on the forums. So, people have been thinking, how do you do organic modelling for characters? Well, let me just load up one of mine just to give you a rough idea of how I've done mine. Now, a few people have been saying, what are edge loops? How do you model specifically to well, make sure that when it's animated nothing bad happens and everything. Well, what you need to remember is that with organics, unlike objects, with organics you have to use or you have to build your entire mesh around muscle groups. Now this is where the edge looping comes in. Now if you have a look at the head here, you can see it conforms pretty much to muscles around. So as you can see here, here's a cheekbone just here, and you've got the entire muscle looping around here. Got the eye area looping. Of course, if you actually feel from the bottom of your eye here, you can feel a bit of the muscle actually conform and move around just over the top of the lip, which is where this happens here. Now, it's much the same with the nose, the lips. In fact, even if you have a look at the back here, you've got muscles showing around the shoulder blades here. In fact, let me just use better material just so you can see it easier. There you go. So you can see it's all uniform, all muscle groups. So you can see a huge muscle around here, moving around the side of the shoulder, back underneath and back to the shoulder blade. And if you start moving your arm, you actually you can feel the same muscle moving. Now, this is where people really need to start reading biology books or anything similar on anatomy, because then you actually learn where the muscle groups are, and you can learn how to do all these edge loops so everything moves together. So when it comes to animating, it's all smooth. Now, what happens when you have it blocked? Now, I'll just take one of the pictures, what someone's done on the forum, is that here I see a lot of people who are new, they start doing it all like this, all in quads. Now it's good that you're keeping it to quads. I mean, there's a few engons here, but it doesn't matter for now. But having it in quads is good. You can have like the perfect looking face all in quads. But there's just one thing. There's lots of polygons, which isn't very good for animation, particularly for games. You need to have as little as possible. If you have a look, probably around the front, you can see it looks fairly decent, so it's not a problem. But it's not following the anatomy of the face as such. So that's where you need to start cutting the lines in for creating the edge loops. Now, if you have a look, probably around the front, you can see around the eye, that's perfectly fine. You can see a looping here, and you've got a loop going underneath the mouth here, so that's looking fine. But it's here is where that it's just turning. You're not getting any edge loops, so it's not quite working so much. Now, obviously, this isn't the best model in the world. A lot of people say otherwise, but believe me, I've seen people make models and they just absolutely just tear this thing to pieces. Now, you'll probably see a few triangles here. I've just turned off mesh smoothing so you can see better. Get a triangle here. I mean, some places I don't know why there are triangles like here. So this is imported from an old version of Mac, so for some reason it's added some. But what happens is with triangles is sometimes you can't always not have them. Don't have an engon where there's 5 edges, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for instance. You need to have at least a triangle, because sometimes the geometry just has to have it. you can't get away with it. But in as many cases as possible, you need to keep with a quad, because if you are going to give it normal maps and everything like that, and you want to have a high-res model, you need to import it into things like ZBrush and Mudbox in order to make it look really good. That includes trying to make scars under the eye and things like that. So when you mesh smooth it, you start thinking, okay, I've only got 30,000 polygons. In terms of Mudbox, you'll be hitting millions of polygons, so it's a really good idea to keep as many quads as possible, but make sure it flows. That's the main thing. Now, a really important one is around the leg. Now, here you can see that, in fact, most people, what they do is they just block it out like this. But as you can see, what I've done is I've conformed it to muscles. So you've got the thigh muscle here, but it just wraps around, and I've defined the muscle on the inside because that's where most thigh muscles are really defined the most. And then, as you can see, when you move your leg, it doesn't go in a square like that, but it does actually conform around a muscle, and it goes at an angle. So that's another one where people need to, I don't know why it's not connected here, but I guess that's just importing again. So it should wrap around here, round the back, back down, under here and back up. So that is one edge loop. Another one here should be to, it's down by the knees, have your kneecap, the muscles surrounding a kneecap, and of course defining the back here, and all of this requires it to be loops. Now what I mean by loop is if I set this to edge mode, okay, now you know when you have good loops, this probably won't be very good simply because it's got triangles in places I don't know where they've come from, but I'll start here by the face. So can you see that? Let's just say from here, it's looping round, this part should loop round. It does actually loop under here. It's because there's a triangle in here, that's all, but it actually moves under, around in that fashion. Another one you can see here, it moves around in towards the mouth. Another one down under the chin, just under here. It does actually move along here, by the way. Like I said, I think the import is not quite worked too well. Here you can see that it wraps around the eyes. Should always wrap around the eyes here. Then it moves along the top. Then back around the eyes again. If you look here, move along the forehead and back over the bridge of the nose. Everything is looping around muscle groups. So here again, wraps into the nose. Of course, the top part wraps around here. Then you've got another edge loop which moves back over the head, over the crown, and back around to the nose bridge. And these are what I'm calling, or which every artist calls, edge loops, and also muscle groups. So that's pretty much what you need to know about muscle groups and edge looping, and if you can keep that in mind when modelling your characters, then you should be able to model actually very well indeed. It doesn't take very long, just read a few books to do with anatomy and everything, and it will just eventually fall into place. Yeah, it's pretty much all you need to know. Just make sure that at first, don't matter too much about the muscles, just make sure you get the flow right. Don't put in too much detail if you're just starting with organic modelling. But there are a few people who've actually had a look at the magazines or books or on anatomy and everything, and in 1 week they've improved dramatically, and it's really helped, and it's certainly shown, that's for sure. And if you did the same, whoever's actually starting out with organic modelling, then please honestly read anatomy books and start trying to model around these areas, and you'll be fine. So particularly the face, that's the most important one. If you can get that part of the face, you can model any other parts. Hands can be a bit of a problem. Obviously you've got knuckles to contend with here and here, but overall it's not too hard. The same goes with the feet. And yep, that's pretty much it. So if there is anything I haven't answered in here, then please leave a comment and I'll get back to you.